A Chinese researcher claims he has helped make the world's first genetically modified babies. The researcher says they altered the genes of the twin girls born this month to make them resistant to the HIV virus. Now, critics say the experiment is unethical, with the babies being used as genetic guinea pigs. Oh dear, the genetically modified twins are a hot topic this morning. To discuss it, we're joined by 7 News political editor Mark Riley and commentator Kath Webber on the Gold Coast. Morning to you both.
Morning. Morning.
Riles, we'll start with you. Many scientists fear this sort of genetic modification could be used to create so-called designer babies. In a country like China, an emerging superpower, this worries me a great deal.
Yeah,
a communist
scary,
nation.
isn't it?
Yes.
It's really scary. Science fiction becoming science fact. And you know, there are other medical procedures that can be applied to prevent these children from having HIV, and they're effective. So I think this scientist is doing this because he could, and also to probably to generate the sort of debate that there will be internationally about the ethics of this. But I'm a bit torn, Sam, because genetic editing and genetic gene therapy is the future of medical research. Somatic gene editing is the future for people with cystic fibrosis and other conditions. We already use it on animals to harvest lean meat and also body parts from pigs. Remember, Kevin Rudd had a pig valve in his heart. So there are good applications, but there are others that really clash with our essential ethics of, you know, as you say, creating designer babies. I read a story a couple of months ago about a biochemist who had nightmares about this while doing research into gene editing, and she used to wake up in the middle of the night in a pool of sweat, confronted by a person with the body of Adolf Hitler and the face of a pig. You know, this is the biochemist who's in there, so it's scary stuff.
Yeah, and Kath, I guess you can be torn. I agree with Riles, torn between this could be good for the future of humans and disease, but these little twin girls who are being used as an experiment somewhere in China, it just makes me feel a bit ill, don't you think?
Yeah, look, that is where the problem is that once you open the door to genetic editing somewhere, for good reason, there's 6% of babies worldwide have a genetic defect of sorts. And like Raoul said, cystic fibrosis, Huntington's disease, why wouldn't you want to eradicate those? But by opening that door to do that, you open the door to things like this case in China. And what's frightening about this case is there is no transparency around it. The university doesn't know about it. There's no academic rigour around it. It hasn't had a peer review. So this is why it's so terrifying that, you know, this talk of we all say, oh, we're playing God. Well, that's kind of already gone with IVF and all the rest. But what's happening in the back rooms, if they don't know about this study and we don't know anything about it, we can't get any transparency over it. Is it going to be where all of a sudden it's not about cystic fibrosis, it's about we want a tall child who's got blue eyes and who is, you know, got the smarts of Mark Riley and will win a Walkley Award?
Now, come on. I'm thinking more of the, you know, the Chinese swimmers. Remember the women with the huge triangular backs and this sort of thing. And what happens when it's bred into society, when, you know, these genes mix with other genes, and then in 3 or 4 generations, how do we know what happens?
And done in the back room.
And,
Look, I'm all for this research into stem cells and fighting diseases like motor neuron, and God, I hope we find a cure for all these things, but it's got to be done properly, not in the back rooms of China. OK, let us know at home what you think about that one, because that's really a scary topic today.